Stage 17 of the Tour de France, possibly the last chance for the pure sprinters. Now the Montmartre is going to be a feature of the final day in Paris. And so after Ventoux, and with some enormous mountain days to come, what would be on the cards? The fast men were getting themselves ready. Would they make it? Would a breakaway have some fun once again? So many breakaway wins, but hearts possibly broken by the sprinters teams who were destined to control the day. Surely only one way to find out: to go racing. They flagged them off. 160 kilometres, destination Valence. So often been a thrilling finale for the sprinters. But what of today? Slightly rolling terrain, draggy climbs throughout. Just 2 KOMs to deal with. So 2 mountains points only. Not that much of a temptation for those battling for polka dots. But an intermediate sprint early-ish on. And then, of course, a massive 50 points at the line. Surely a sprinter's day. Nothing is certain in this game, though. And look at the terrain. Hardly easy fare. And if the wind blew up, or indeed the rain, who knows? We got ourselves off and underway, and to be fair, it didn't take long for our breakaway to be established. Albanese, well, perhaps a mistake by EF Education. I don't think he was the principal for them. Wouldn't have been first choice, but he was up there. So was Quentin Pacher, Mathieu Burgado, and Jonas Abramson, the man who'd won Stage 11 into Toulouse. Could he deny them again? Quickly, the break went up to just about 2 minutes. Surely this was too much of a comfort zone. It had to change, and so it started. Louis Barret was on the deck, and he wouldn't be the only one. Meanwhile, the intermediate sprint went the way of the break. Abramson said thank you very much. And then it was a question of, after these 4 had crossed the line, who would pick it up after? Well, Milan knew, and knows only too well, that this race for the points jersey could well be a dicey one. Not Gamay, you understand, but Tadej Pogacar himself. And so whenever points are on offer, Milan was there. And so it was that he picked up 20 at the intermediate. Would it be 50 at the end? Got to catch these guys first.
Guys, we've got nothing to lose, alright? So let's be sharp, let's try it. Otherwise we sat in the bunch for nothing the whole day, you know? Let's try it.
Try it, you might like it. Well, Ineos Grenadiers really emptied themselves. It was just one of the stretches, and I've got to tell you that the peloton did split at one point, and we found ourselves with some very accomplished sprinters who were out of position. Milan back in the second group. Tim Merlier, the European champion, was with him. A few other notables as well that could be interested in a fast day. No panic from Tadej Pogacar. He was only at 34 seconds at this point, but the green jersey had ground to make up. Our breakaway was still up there. The danger is, of course, if such a break was caught, then all hell could break loose. But there were some fast riders who really wanted to put the pure sprinters to the sword. Well, we rolled over our next climb, and then it was a question of getting to the line itself. A regathering. Finally they got back on one of the descents. These never too long, but it was a bit of a haul for Merlier and Milan to get back in. No panic, you understand. And then, of course, it was Little Trek and Soudal Quickstep that were going to dominate the proceedings. News was coming through that the roads were getting wet, and more than that, a very sketchy, indeed technical finale with several roundabouts in the last kilometre. That was always going to test. Well, real estate was at a prime. Alaphilippe was pretty upset, quite frankly. Offered a helping hand by Gachinard from Total Energies. Didn't want it. Just wanted to get back on his bike and get the job done. Well, sprightly, I think you might say. Always. Wout van Aert, he'd been waved off by Junior at the beginning of the day and decided maybe to show off just a little bit. Got himself to within about 25 seconds of our breakaway, but they kicked on. It was almost a holding pattern, and now the reformed peloton found themselves only 50 seconds in abeyance. And so this was going to be a drag race into town, and ultimately it looked like a forlorn hope for Wout van Aert. Duly, he thought better of it. Quinn Simmons gave him a nod of appreciation. and one strong man to another. Meanwhile, who's going to be the strongest of the breakaway as the gap started to close down? Under a minute at this point, but then tumbling to just under 30 seconds with over 16 kilometres remaining. Well, there was no doubt that the big engine room of the break was Jonas Abrahamsson. He kicked on and said, "See you fellas." Off up the road he went. It was a question of whether he could make it home alone. The gap was tumbling. The sprinters' teams were onto him. But that street furniture and all of those roundabouts were starting to have an impact. Wet road surface as well. Factor in some nerves, a desperation maybe from the sprinters' teams. This was going to be dramatic. Big crash. And then, of course, those out front were going for it. Of course they were.
Milan's going to have to do it himself. Behind there is one of the riders as well who's in there now for Picnic Postanel. It's Lund who's there for them. Merce goes, but here goes Jonathan Milan. Milan with the Lee on his wheel. The ball trying to get there. He has an issue there and is forced to go again. It's Milan in the green on the left-hand side. Look at Lund coming around. Milan out of the line. And Jonathan Milan just ahead of Jordi Merce wins for the second time. And despite the chaos, grabs hold of that green jersey competition.
70 points maxed out, and the Raw said it all. They did it. Unfortunately for some of the big name sprinters, they got caught behind the crash. Tim Malia, the European champion, one of those that surely would have gone shoulder to shoulder with indeed Milan. It was Jordi Meus that was second, ahead of Tobias Lund. Arnaud Delis was up there, and Ballerini as well. Confirmation of how it came to a close today. It was rough out there.
It was a difficult final also because of the weather. We had to bring these roundabouts in the first position, and I was a bit scared, I have to say also. But they helped me, they support me, and this is really fantastic, I have to say, team victory. I really have to thank them with the bottom of my heart. So, yeah, super happy for all of us.
Milan leads the green jersey competition by 72 points. Tadej Pogačar, our leader, he'll be snapping at his heels in the mountains over the next few days, where points are also on offer. We'll see how that competition pans out. GC, for the moment, belongs to Pogačar. Here's Milan and that handsome lead. Sensational it was today, and there are indeed some intermediate sprints to be had along the way, and they come early. As a result, that means that Milan could pick up a few more, but with Pogačar in the high ground, he'll be amassing points as well. Green jersey, a royal battle, and so it will prove to be tomorrow. Col de Los, where Pogačar has struggled in the past, he's on fire this year. Glandon, Madeleine and Lowe's itself on the cards tomorrow. Stage 18 is going to hurt the sprinters. They do have an early intermediate to gun for, and then it's going to be all about GC all the way to the line. The high ground is here. Be afraid. Just look at that. Glandon, Madeleine, Lowe's. It's an ouch. See you tomorrow.